This is a proper Thursday night welcome, I tell you.
I know, I love this.
Thank you so much for being here and for talking about your tour, which, for those of you who read the New York Times, they don't really give out positive reviews that often. They called you a natural.
That was pretty cool.
That was very cool.
That I was sitting in a little cafe with my sister and my best friend after, and he just went, "Oh, diva, you gotta look at this." I was like, "What?" He was like, "The New York Times just pretty much gave you an amazing review." And I was like, "Oh, really? That's pretty cool." It was kind of unexpected. I don't really know. This is new for me with singing stuff, so it was pretty amazing.
Do you read reviews?
In general, I try not to because I never really think that you should let other people's opinions affect you, good or bad, because if you're constantly waiting for good validation and you don't get it, you're going to feel bad. And if it's bad, then obviously we know how you feel about that. But it's awesome when it is, when it's a surprise. It's kind of nice.
So how did you come up with this tour? Because you cover Billie Holiday, you cover Amy Winehouse. I mean, these are like some pretty incredible women.
Well, part of it is I just think that there's so much music from back in the day and these artists that used to sing that really used to connect with their audiences and really used to sing and tell stories. And it was almost like the things that they were singing about were such a huge part of them. And I don't feel like that is really around as much anymore in music nowadays. And I also feel like love is such a unifier. We've all at some point felt extremely heartbroken and completely crazy in love to where we're blinded to reality, which is unfortunate most of the time. But, you know, it affects everyone the exact same way, and I love that about it.
How did you come up with the format of the cabaret? Because we were just talking about it before you got here, and that is such an intimate and such a difficult format because you're really putting yourself out there to your audience. I mean, there's no pretending there's no one out there.
Oh, no, yeah, you got to stand up there. And I like it because I think there's two different kinds of shows. If you're doing a concert, it's really about going and you're watching a performance, and it's almost like going to watch a movie. But if you're doing a cabaret show, at least in my interpretation, I really like to connect with the audience, and I'll ask questions and see if they have any crazy stories about love or embarrassing things that they've been through. And I like that it's a more intimate setting and that you can kind of just interact with people like that.
How did you come up with the name?
Well,
I mean, we've all been over it.
yeah, I feel like most girls, and probably guys too, have just had moments of being over it. But I also think that it can be open to interpretation. I think that sometimes you can just be over love. You can be over the pressure of having to feel like you have to be in love or have to have a relationship or all of it. I kind of like that it's open to whatever it is for you in that day. And it could be something different every day.
So talk to me about your set list. How did you develop it?
I really tried to create a story and have each song connect to a different aspect of being in a relationship. So one of the first songs I sing is a song called Sway, and Rosemary Clooney does it. And it's kind of that moment when you're on the dance floor, you're in a room, and you see somebody across the way, and you kind of just catch each other's eye, and you just have that moment where you feel butterflies and can get giddy and you want to go talk to them. And so then you're planning with your friends, how can I figure out a way to talk to these people? And I don't know, it's just that fun kind of giddy feeling all the way through, you know, daydreaming about love and maybe not shading the men so much as I tend to do a bit in my show. And doing, you know, I do a really fun cover of Criminal by Fiona Apple that I really like. And I don't know, just different stuff. It's cool.
Who do you run your songs by first? Like when you are thinking of interpreting a song, taking it on, who do you sing for first?
Probably my best friend, and I call him my non-sexual gay life partner.
Oh, wait, that's the one that the Daily Mail said you were dating?
Yes.
Oh,
They've gotten that wrong
story.
twice, which I find hilarious because anyone who's ever seen his Instagram would immediately know that he would never be interested in me like
what was it, like Rumer Willis and her new love out and about, spotted.
Rumer and Ty Blue out on the town. It's like, well, that's great. I'm so glad that you would think we'd be together because he's very handsome, but he doesn't like me.
In that way?
Yeah, no.
So you sing for him and he's like, thumbs up, thumbs down.
Yeah, we get real drag queen with each other when we're at home by ourselves. I don't know what happened. Maybe in a past life we were both drag queens. I don't know exactly what it is, but we have this kind of language that just starts going, and we shade each other a lot. And I'll know very quickly if that song's going to work in the show or not.
How did you first know that you were a good singer? When was the first time you felt that you could do this?
I mean, I've been singing since I was probably out of the womb, and I don't really think I gave my parents a chance to tell me anything other than I used to put on shows in the living room and just go out there in my onesie that was blue and sparkly. And
You were one of those kids.
oh yeah, all the time. And then it changed for a while, and I got really shy, I think, when I was going through puberty because I was super awkward and had no idea how to dress myself. And I had, huge curly hair and braces and glasses. It was so tragic. But I got really shy, and then I think it took me a while to kind of come and get out of my shell again and want to perform and be on stage. You have a thing when you're a kid where you're just fearless and you have no problem being confident. And I think there's this kind of weird thing in society now that we think it's not okay to be confident, or we're all very confused of where the line is of the difference between ego and self-confidence. And I think it's totally okay to be confident and to be like, yeah, I'm talented, I'm good at this, and this is what I love to do, and have that not come off like you're being egotistical,
Well, no, it's about owning who you are and what you're good at. And also, going back a little bit to when you were a kid, that was also before the days of social media. So you didn't have to obsess like we all do over comments and,
Exactly.
nastiness and whatnot. How did you come into your own confidence? Because you wrote an essay last year about bullying, which I thought was fantastic.
Thank you. It's hard. I'm not going to sit up here and pretend that every day it is an easy thing, but it's one of those things that you really have to love all of yourself. You have to love the parts of yourself that say, oh, I'm not good enough, or today I don't look good, or I feel fat today, or whatever it is. You have to realize that to a certain extent, those are all parts of you that are already there, so trying to wish them away and get rid of them is not going to do you any good. If you just love that part of yourself and try and find ways to just switch the thinking a little bit, and every time you feel bad or you feel like you're not good enough, remember the things that you are great at. Remember how generous or whatever it is. Remember the good things about yourself, and sometimes even go out of your way to do something that has nothing to do with you. Do something completely selfish that has nothing for you to gain. That's just completely about somebody else, and that always helps.
I don't know. I don't ever do that, so I can't relate to that. But so getting away from all that like selfless stuff. When you're on stage, do you have a persona that you inhabit, or are you? Well, you know what I mean. Like, are you Sasha Fierce, but like Rumer Fierce?
In my head, in the shower, and in the car, I am Beyonce always.
We're all
Always.
Beyonce.
I do. I feel like I kind of pull out I constantly want to be Jessica Rabbit in my head too. So when I go on stage, I feel like I always in some way try and kind of pull that out, and I think of her as my inspiration. But part of it is I also want to be really authentic and genuine with the audience and not put on a show of what I think that they want to see or what they think that I am. Because I'm goofy and I'm weird and I mess up and I don't always say the right things and I forget what I'm going to say sometimes, and I might look like an idiot, but that's okay because I'm a human being,
What song gets the biggest response from the audience, or does it change by city?
It depends. For a little while, and this has been a heated debate between me and Ty.
Your boyfriend.
Yes, husband, boyfriend, mistress, all of the above. I always like closing the show with It's Raining Men, and I love it. But apparently, he as well as the band think it's a little cheesy and apparently not on brand, but I don't know any woman who doesn't hear that song and completely get excited.
The Weather Girls, right?
Yes.
It's amazing. It's like the
exactly. See,
that
this
video
reaction.
was like the greatest video of all time.
Exactly.
I think you should keep doing it.
See, I think so too.
And I think all the ladies would agree with that.
Right, guys? Come on.
Am I right? Am I right?
Thank you. See?
And let's talk about Dancing with the Stars for a second. You won.
Yeah.
You had... I think you had like all 8, 9s, and 10s the entire season.
We got a few low
A few.
scores.
You're all modest. You're like, just
There was a few, but
10.
it's okay. You know, sometimes you need to just be put down a level to rise back up from the ashes.
like a phoenix.
Yeah, exactly.
But what did you take away from that experience? I assume that probably did a lot towards boosting your confidence and being in the
100%.
spotlight.
I think it was the first time I feel like I ever had the ability to be able to let people know who I was and give them a chance to get a glimpse of who I was that wasn't through the lens of a tabloid or of a news post saying that my gay best friend is my husband or misrepresenting myself. And so that was really cool because for the first time I felt like I was allowed to be vulnerable and get to show who I was, and I was getting a really positive response from that. And that felt really good because you don't know always. You have no idea what people think of you or what, you know, they might view you as or what they think you have going on. And so to really be that vulnerable and allow myself to do that was huge, and especially to have gained so many incredible fans who just reached out and said, thank you so much for speaking out about your confidence and about bullying, because that's what really helped me be more confident. That's so cool to me and is one of the reasons why I love my job every day, because if even there's one person that you can help that they might not feel alone, then that makes it all worth it.
Well, and I also loved how your family turned up for like every performance. Like your parents on social media were like Team Rue. It was insane. I'm like, she is destined to win, just like for the love that's pushing her forward.
I had a pretty good cheering section, I'm not gonna lie. That was probably one of the coolest parts.
How hard did you work? I mean, how many hours a day?
You dance about 8 or 9 hours a day for every day, 3 months straight. You don't really get a day off. And when it gets towards the end, you know, you're learning 2 or 3 dances in the span of 3 days. And so you're pretty tired towards the end.
Did that give you more confidence now that you're on stage performing, or is that a totally different thing?
No, 100%, because here's the thing. You could have an incredible voice and be singing on stage, but if you don't have stage presence and you don't connect with your audience, you kind of just look like a dead fish on stage. And I've been there and done that, and it's really boring. But I definitely think it helped me try and be more comfortable being in front of people and being grounded in my body, and to go from Dancing with the Stars and then doing Broadway and then now doing my own show. It's been kind of a dream come true, because I think if it had worked out any other way, I wouldn't have had all of the tools that I have now to feel as confident to put on pretty much a one-woman show like this and do a cabaret.
Incredible. It's a huge undertaking. And speaking of Broadway, you were in Chicago. Any more Broadway plans?
Thanks, guys. I hope so eventually. I don't know, though. It's such a grueling schedule. You literally have no life. And the people that, you know, one of the women in Chicago has been there since day one, since they started that show there. Yeah, and she can still high kick with the best of them. It's incredible. But I don't know. I don't even know how you're supposed to.
That's crazy.
Yeah, for years, like 20 years. That's insane. How am I supposed to find a husband? Build my empire. Come on.
Well, you can find a husband or a life partner by wearing your sister's beautiful dresses.
True. I have really talented sisters. I feel so lucky.
You guys do seem really close.
They're awesome. I was just saying earlier, I feel like when we're apart, we're all super awesome. But when we're together, it's like, you know, Captain Planet, sister forces unite, and we just laugh, and we get this weird thing where we finish each other's sentences, and we almost have our own language. And it's so cool to have sisters and siblings, because they know you better than anybody and can really help support you through anything. And it's so cool watching them grow up and find their own creative outlets. Like Tallulah, my little sister, she's been doing a lot of visual art and drawing, and she has these little characters. And
I love them, the little...
Yeah, and so I had her make a T-shirt for my tour, and I said, you know, what's your version of Over the Love? And so she has this little character who looks kind of grumpy and is giving side-eye, and this heart that's just like reaching out, trying to be like, please, come on. It's really cool. I like it.
And musically, what do you want to do next? An album, I assume?
Yeah, I would love to write more of my own stuff and do an album, and then hopefully do another tour. You know, we really wanted to keep it small in this first one just to test it out, and we did mostly the Southeast, so to be able to come back and really cover more of America would be incredible. And also just to be able to meet more fans. It's one of my favorite parts.
Were you surprised by how positive the response has been? I mean, critically.
Yeah, it's really scary to put yourself out there in a completely new way. I feel like I really started to build momentum, with acting and dancing, and in a certain way, it kind of feels like I'm starting over a bit with singing, but I almost really enjoy that because I feel like every kind of win or every step that I take is really just all about the work that I'm doing, which is it's pretty satisfying,
You get in what you put out, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And now to our audience, please.
Hey, Rumer. Good evening.
Hi.
Love the boots.
Thank
awesome,
you.
Awesome. I've been awaiting your arrival all day. So worth it.
Oh, thank you.
So my question for you, outside of all the showbiz gaga, what are a couple of your favorite pastimes that you personally enjoy when you do have the free time?
I'm totally a grandma, and I love to knit. And so I've been making baby clothes for my friends. I really like playing board games, and I love going to the movies. Like, one of my favorite things is going to see like a triple feature, or just planning your day out so you can go to the movies and kind of spend all day there and just chilling in New York. I love it here. You guys have a great city.
Oh, and by the way, apropos of absolutely nothing, your Instagram inspired me to buy adult animal onesies. So that's what I'm going to wear for Halloween.
Yes, we've got about 10 of them on the tour bus.
Yeah. I saw the pictures and I was like, ooh, good idea there.
Way to go.
Next question, please.
Hey, Rumer. Thanks for coming. So I was wondering, what piece of advice do you live by when it comes to your music? And then the other thing is, what do you look forward to on this tour?
Oh, man. I think the piece of advice is never try and be somebody else or sound like somebody else or emulate, because unequivocally you will always sound like you. And as soon as you start to allow yourself to find whatever your sound is and your voice is, people will love it, I think, even more than trying to copy somebody else. And with the tour, honestly, I've only been on it a week and I've already seen so many cool things. I went to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame Museum, which was incredible and so inspiring. And I went and watched a 2-hour rehearsal yesterday or the day before of the Boston Ballet Company, which was amazing. And so I'm on tour and doing my own thing, but also getting to witness so many other cool things traveling around, which has been awesome.
And we have time for one final question, please.
Hello, Rumer.
Hi.
I wanted to know, where do you draw inspiration from when you're creating your own music?
Oh, man. I mean, mostly from my personal stories, and I think that's the best music comes from raw kind of emotion. And whatever story you're telling, I think that you should really connect with it and allow other people to kind of connect with it, because you should be sharing a story so that hopefully other people will maybe feel your pain. One of my favorite songs that I think is so emotionally powerful is All I Could Do Was Cry by Etta James. And I think that the way that she sings it, you might never have gotten to see her sing it live, but you can hear the emotion in her voice. And I think that that's one of the most important things, to always make sure that that comes true.
And where can we find your tour dates?
On either Facebook or my Instagram, and then we have overthelovetour.com, and you can pretty much find everything that you want to find there.
Thank you so much,
Thank
Rumer.
you for having me.